It's time now for County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's County-Wide.
Well, good day and welcome to the program. It is County-Wide. Brad Miller with you, and we're happy to welcome into studio one familiar face, Brandon Wacker with Cottonwood Fire. We've talked to Brandon any number of times over any number of things, and he called us just a few weeks ago and said, we have something very, very special and very important coming up in the spring, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But to tell us more about this and what it really is, Brandon invited a guest. Sharon Felix is the executive director of the 100 Club of Arizona. Now, we've chatted a bit about that before. I'm going to let Sharon kind of give us a good definition of what the group is, but in short, it is about fallen heroes and paying the right to kind of attribution to them. Firefighters, police officers lost in the line of duty or as service people to our community. What could be more important? Toward that end, a golf tournament is coming up, and that's what Brandon's part of this is going to be on May 11th. This will be a Saturday. There's going to be all kinds of great fun, and what a great cause, and we're going to talk about that today. So first I'll say, Sharon, good day to you. Thank you for joining us. Coming up, I think, from Phoenix today to sit in with us. And Brandon, thanks for arranging all of this. It was he that really kind of put this together for us, and we're happy to sit down and talk for a little bit about these very, very important people. The golf tournament, I guess, is going to be a fundraiser.
Yes, it's
that right?
Fundraiser to benefit the 100 Club of Arizona. Actually, the idea came up from a police officer with Cottonwood Police Department, and he asked for some help, so me and a couple other firefighters and officers jumped in and started running with it. And as you mentioned, it's going to be May 11th at Seven Canyons Golf Course in Sedona. It's going to be a 4-man scramble, shotgun start at 9 a.m.
Okay.
So.
Going to be a lot of fun, a great day. The reason we're talking about it so early, it's a couple months, almost 2 months out yet, is we want to get as much support for this as we can. And yeah, that means a little bit of pocketbook, as well as folks coming out to have a good time for a great cause that day. So we're going to talk more about that as we kind of move through the show. But first, what is the 100 Club? For the uninitiated, and that's why Sharon is here to share with us. As the executive director, you're the one. We went straight to the top here, and we appreciate you coming up and sharing some short time with us today. Long drive for a short show, but very greatly appreciated. I know you won't mind me saying you have a very, very personal reason for being part of this group. Tell us your story.
Well, in 1998, my husband, Doug Knudsen, DPS officer for 12 years, was struck and killed on Loop 202, the entrance ramp of Loop 202, and there in the valley. And the next morning, the 100 Club knocked on my door within 24 hours after he was killed. That was my introduction to the 100 Club.
Did you know about them at all before then?
I had never heard of them.
Okay.
And I think in the beginning, maybe it was meant to be that you didn't really know that much about the 100 Club unless you needed them.
Sure.
But since that time, we've changed so much. We're so proactive, and our support is so much broader than back then. But in 1998, they handed me a check for $4,000. And I like to compare that to 15 years earlier when my son was struck and killed, which is kind of odd that you would lose a spouse and a child in the same way, although my son was just 6 years old. But we had to borrow money. The next day after he was killed so that we could have a funeral. And it was quite different. The next day after Doug was killed, I was handed a check. I still went to the bank, but I deposited a check instead of taking out a loan.
Right. That support, it can't quite be measured with dollars and cents, but just that feeling. Talk to me a little bit about, I know financial obligations that come with these kinds of disasters is very significant, very real. But just the feeling that someone cared had to have been maybe as important to you.
I have to say that in my case at that time, it was equally or even more.
Yeah.
To imagine there was a community group. As a matter of fact, that's what they said when I was like, what's the 100 Club, or who's the 100 Club? And they said, we're a community-based group that stand behind the men and women who stand behind the badge. And I just was like, okay, so this is a loan. Am I going to have to pay this back? Right. And they're no. I go, what is the money for? This is for whatever you need today.
Right.
And, at that time, 98, 15 years ago, times were even different. 15 years ago, $4,000 was a significant amount of money, and I knew that I could pay a couple of months' rent, mortgage. I could pay my car payment. I knew I was going to be okay financially.
Right.
But I also knew that there was family members that needed to come from out of town. I could pay for their tickets to get them there quickly, last minute, expensive tickets, without worrying about, did I have the money in my checking account?
Yeah. Just the relief of the burden when you're at your most vulnerable. You know, it's anybody who's been through any kind of tragedy will start to understand that, but it's not very often that these angels really kind of fly in and are able to share. And so in the most dramatic way possible, the importance of this organization was proven and shown, you know, to you.
It was.
That was 1998. Today, there's a lot more happening, and Sharon, again, is the executive director now, so it obviously meant a lot. Then you, I'm assuming, over time, perhaps became more involved to the point that you're sitting with us today as the executive director.
I was actually invited to attend their banquet in 1998,
okay,
and be a speaker, just to give my little, you know, thank you to their members for their support, for being there for me. And I loved the group immediately. I could not believe how generous these people were, and a lot of community leaders and community business owners in the group, and some public safety were guests at that time. You were not allowed to be members in the beginning as public safety officers or firefighters because they wanted it only to be community-based. But since that time, the firefighters and the officers have convinced us that they're part of the community, and we can't eliminate them or not allow them to be part of the membership. So they are now. But back then, it was mostly just the community leaders. I loved them. I became a member at that time and started supporting the organization. And then, of course, everybody knows what happened when the day of 9/11. I was looking for something important. I'd remarried, and I was looking for something to make a difference in my life, not just a job, because my life had changed, not just once, but twice. And I knew I needed to do something.
Right.
And I got to serve at Ground Zero for 24 days. And when I came home, matter of fact, got the call there asking me if I would like to be the executive director and lead the group. So I accepted, and the rest is history.
Right. Well, with that drive, again, the experience you shared with us, but also with that kind of determination to make a difference somewhere, it seems like the perfect kind of, obviously somebody thought you were the perfect candidate, and here you continue along. The 100 Club itself, now this is called the 100 Club of Arizona, so this is an in-state organization. Are there other chapters in other states?
We are not affiliated, and it is not a national organization, but we're patterned. Everyone's patterned after the Detroit, Michigan 100 Club that started in 1952.
Okay.
So there's little all over. There's not one in every state.
Gotcha.
There's not one in every community. We're one of the few statewide organizations, but we are the entire state of Arizona. But we became the 100 Club of Arizona in 2002. We were the Phoenix 100 Club.
Okay.
It was meant just for the Valley, and kind of reached out a little bit deeper than that. But it started for Phoenix police officers, for those officers in the Valley, and now it's grown to all city, county, state, federal agencies, all public safety officers, firefighters, corrections, probation, parole in the state of Arizona. 55,000 first responders and officers and firefighters we have serving in the state of Arizona at this time.
So heaven forbid anything should happen to any of our service people here, the 100 Club would play a very supportive role.
We are there.
Yeah. We need to take a short break. We'll do that. We'll come back. Going to tell you how this works. I think a very hugely compelling part of this whole story is where does the money come from that is part of this. Our guest today, Sharon Felix, Brandon Wacker. We'll talk more about the 100 Club when we come back right after this.
Having a fire escape plan is very important to keep your family safe and together in the event of a fire. When you awake to the sound of a smoke detector and smoke in your room, don't stand straight up. Carefully roll off your bed and stay low under the smoke. If your door is shut, feel the door with the back of your hand. Slowly open the door if no heat is felt. Always stay low until you get to the outside of your home. Always have 2 ways out of your house and a specified meeting place somewhere outside your home. Home escape plans should be drawn up and rehearsed on a regular basis. This could be the difference between life and death if caught in a fire.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
Welcome back to the program. It is Countywide. Brad Miller with you, and again, Sharon Felix, Brandon Wacker today, talking about the 100 Club of Arizona, supporting fallen firefighters, police officers across our state, those who are killed or injured in the line of duty. What could be more important than that? Coming up in May 11th, there'll be a golf tournament, and the reason that is so important, Sharon, perhaps you'll help us. This is really a donation-driven organization. If the donations dried up, that's the whole ball game. Is that right?
Well, that's absolutely true. We're 100% dependent upon donations and contributions to the 100 Club sponsorships. We are a membership driven, but you do not have to be a member to donate or to host an event that benefits the 100 Club. We have approximately 100 events per year. That's not hosted by the 100 Club, but hosted, such as this tournament will be, where we are the beneficiary, and that is really our bread and butter. That's how we're able to do all the things that we do. That's why we are so much more than just helping those that are seriously injured or killed on the job.
We'll talk real specifically about the tournament, because I know folks are saying, well, tell us how to sign up, how do we do it, and all of those. It's coming up May 11th, so we'll do that. We'll let you know. But it's interesting. So that's coming, I promise. But more just kind of about the club. Here Brandon brought this to us. He said, working with one of the local police officers, that's where it came from. It seems to me that police, fire, and their families would have an extremely vested interest in these fundraisers that you mentioned and doing those kinds of things. But I would hope that there's additional support beyond that brother and sisterhood, that businesses and whatnot get involved too. Do you find that?
This definitely is not a fraternal group. This is not the police and fire supporting police and fire. This is the community. It's community-based. It's community-driven. Our officers and the president of our organization, we can only have like 20% of our board can be comprised of police officers and firefighters. This is about the community showing their support to the officers and firefighters, thanking them for their job day in and day out, not just when they're seriously injured or killed.
Right. I don't know that it matters, because certainly the thought of it being there and that initial support is probably going to be the biggest thing. So I don't think the nickel and dime of it is that critical, but I do want to ask about that. If there's, say, an officer that's injured and maybe he's going to lose some time, that kind of thing, how do you assess who gets how much money? That's my question. How does that process work?
Well, it's pretty standard across the board. Most officers still receive their base pay. As a matter of fact, a law was just enacted that they would receive their base pay. But we know that most officers and firefighters are called upon to work off-duty jobs. The community needs them. The community demands their service. Anytime there's a large event, they have to hire off-duty officers and firefighters because there's usually not enough on duty and they're taking care of other things.
Right.
So they need them. And so part of their pay basically is usually overtime or off-duty work. And we know that when they're injured, this comes to a halt real quick.
Right.
We know shift differential pay or any other bonuses or anything to do that they might receive, this is very base pay they go back to. So we like to take the sting out of that to help them realize that we want to be there for them, and when they're recovering, that we mostly want the family to know that we appreciate their officer or firefighter that supports public safety. It's just a time to give back.
Yeah, and what more of an important time. You mentioned in your personal case that there was a knock literally on the door, and that was your introduction to this organization.
Yes, sir.
So to me, that means if it's still the same way, there's not an application, you don't need to, your family or someone else doesn't need to worry about that. I mean... It's
very quick. We have no red tape. We do verify because we are accountable for the funds that are given to us. We are a 501c3 and a charitable organization. All contributions given to the 100 Club is tax deductible according to the law. So any gift to us is a good thing, and people can usually write that off of their taxes. But we are quick. The department verifies that it happens. That's what it takes.
Right.
So usually within a minute, if someone has the wherewithal, a chief or someone or HR or a sergeant could call me on the phone. I go, right here's the form, they fill it out, fax it to me. We can usually have a check within 24 hours and sometimes quicker.
Probably very, very quickly. Yeah. Do you have, on, say, an annual basis, I hope you never have to write another check, you know? Wouldn't that be nice? But that's not the reality. It's a dangerous business that these folks become involved in, and so it'll continue. Has the outlay grown over the years? Has, you know, give me a sense of how that...
Yes, when I first started with the 100 Club, in 34 years, they had paid out about $600,000, so just over $500,000. In the 11 years I've been there, we've paid out close to $7 million.
Wow.
And so, yes, the need has risen, but what we've also been able to do because of the support of the community is to offer other type of benefits and other type of resources for them.
Such as?
So we have our scholarship program. We can give scholarships to the children and the spouses of officers and firefighters throughout the state. We do that last year, gave out over $300,000 to help our kids with and spouses with education beyond high school. We have our safety enhancement stipend program. We purchase equipment, a lot of equipment in Yavapai County. We have helped some of our volunteer firefighters and fire districts with equipment, and our officers and our police agencies with equipment to enhance the safety of their officers and firefighters. That's just two of them. When someone's injured, someone's killed, we can immediately fly family member in. We not only give you the check, but we also provide flights if needed. We have so many, I mean, officers and firefighters are just like me and you.
Yeah.
We don't see them that way because we see them behind the badge. We see them in their uniform. But, you know, they have children, they have spouses, and they have things like cancer, just like our families do.
Right.
We are there for them when one of their family members, or if they have cancer or another terminal illness or a disease, we're there for them.
The support is
help
deep
them. The support
lasting.
is far more than in the line of duty because they're on 24/7. We can call an officer or a firefighter, and they will report with any time within those 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We want to do the same for them.
Right. Incredible. How can you become a part of this? Is a great way to do it coming up on May 11th, and we'll talk all about that when we come back right after this.
I got no pulse, so losing.
He's in beefing.
Shocking. Drives it road all the time. Just had a few drinks. Just can't be happening.
Are we clear?
Clear. We just buzzed. Just buzzed? You didn't tell us that, sir. You're right. This isn't happening. He'll be fine.
I feel good.
Really? No, not really.
Buzz driving.
Clear.
Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
Shocking.
body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Fire can happen at any time. What would you try to save?
My family photos.
My grandfather's war memorabilia.
My dogs.
I'm firefighter Brandon Wacker with the Cottonwood Fire Department. A working smoke detector is your best defense in the event of a fire. Make sure you have a smoke detector in every room except your kitchen. Test them monthly and change the battery once a year. Take the time to save the things you can't replace.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Welcome back to the program again, countywide. Boy, what a great way to become involved in something that is just very, very, very important. The Fallen Heroes Golf Tournament comes up on May 11th. I'm going to let Brandon tell you all about this. Again, give me the nuts and bolts of this, and most importantly, how do I, if I want to bring a foursome out there to play, or just myself, or how does that work? And do you need sponsors or help that way? Tell me about that.
Well, yeah, it's like as we mentioned, May 11th. Shotgun start at 9, registration at 7:30 at Seven Canyons. $150 per person. Okay. Or obviously $600 for foursome. You could, some people like to get their foursome together. They'll find a business to sponsor that foursome. You bet. So they'll pay that $600 for them to play. You just advertise their name on a shirt or whatever. Sure. Or you can also, if you don't want to play, you can just donate. If you want to donate money to us to buy prizes for the raffle, for the silent auction, things like that. There's a chance for or an opportunity for a hole sponsorship. I think it's $250. You sponsor a hole, so you get your business sign up on that hole. So when people come up, tee off, there's your sign for your business right there. The cost includes your player entry into the tournament, 18 holes of golf, a cart, free lunch, unlimited range balls prior to teeing off. So it's a pretty good deal. Very, very nice golf course, Seven Canyons is. Yeah. It's pretty pricey to play out there anyways, but so that's actually a pretty good deal for including lunch and all that. To register, all you got to do is either call the Cottonwood Fire Department and ask for Steve Troutman, or send him an email at stroutman@cottonwoodaz.gov. Okay. And also, we're looking, as I mentioned, looking for volunteers. Anybody that just wants to come out and help out on the course with registration. The contests we're going to have some contests taking place on the course. Be a lot
to do that day.
Yes.
Okay. So a million different ways to get involved. All of the fun that you mentioned, the lunch and all of those kinds of things, plus the warm feeling you're going to get from doing something wonderful, being a part of and helping advance what is happening with the 100 Club that Sharon has been so kind to tell us so much about today. If you're not a golfer, if you just can't get involved in this event, online I can find out a heck of a lot more at 100club.org. That's the numerals 100club.org. Find out there. Can I make a contribution to the website?
Absolutely. Okay. And you will also be able to get information to hook you back up to this tournament on our website.
A million different ways to find out about it. We thank our guests very, very much. Thank you for coming in, sharing time with us today. You'll hear more about it in the coming weeks as we talk about this tournament. It's a big one. It's an important one, and we want you to be a part of it. The Fallen Heroes Golf Tournament, May 11th. We thank you for joining us. It's Countywide, and we'll see you next time.
This has been Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday as we tackle the hot topics and talk to the decision makers across Yavapai County. That's Countywide with Brad Miller and Paul David each Tuesday and Thursday on this Yavapai Broadcasting station.